Hello friends and potential friends. Oh, I'm just out for my daily visit with my patient's raised bed. As I hope you can see, the asparagus is still growing fine. Not fast enough for my opinion, but it is still growing. I debated whether to make a video this weekend, and because things are kind of winding down pretty fast. But I decided I better come out here and do one last tour of the summer garden before it's all gone. I do still have some things that are producing and a lot of things that are no longer producing. So we'll take a little bit of a walk around and see what's going on. Before we do that, I've got something in the lab I need to take care of. Okay, here we are in the lab. As you can see, the Praxis cherry is still alive, still producing fruit, but it's slowing down. I haven't seen any blossoms. Well, no, I take that back. There's a couple of blossoms right up there. But they've been few and far between lately. You got to keep in mind, I planted this back in last September, and now it's this September. In fact, today is September 13th, 2021. I think it's Monday. And I have been getting a lot of cherry tomatoes off of this plant. But it's getting time. Pretty soon I'm going to have to cut this thing back and move it outside because I want to fill this space up with some seeds. But meanwhile, what else we got going in here? I've got the beginnings. If you look at that first little pot over there on the left, you see a little bit of green starting to poke through. That, I hope, is going to be my first mango for the year. I did mention that I had a couple other seeds planted. I've actually got about 8 of them planted. 4 of them are inside here and 4 of them are outside. And 4 of the seeds I peeled the husks off of, and 4 of them I just put the whole seed into the soil. That one you see starting to poke through there, I hope you can see that. I hope it's not just my imagination. That might just be the tip of the seed. That's one of them that I peeled out of the husk. But I do hope it grows. And I just couldn't stand seeing this place so empty, so I gave the rosemary a trim a week or so ago. And it looks like all 12 of the cuttings I took are taking root. So they'll be going outside with the rest of the rosemary before long. And back there is another experiment which doesn't look real promising, but if it turns out, I'll let you know about it. But meanwhile, I got to do something with these 2 pineapples. So I've got a couple of big containers over here full of soil, and I'm going to go ahead and get these things into the ground. Okay, I made sure I got some real big pots to put these things in because I want them to have plenty of room for the roots. This guy back here was the first one that I harvested. And as you can see, it's got a nice set of roots coming on. So I'm just going to set those down into the soil. Kick some more soil around them. And I'll top that off with a little bit more soil. Okay, carefully top it off with a little more soil. Mainly just to make it stable in there. And then I give it a little bit of a drink. I like watering pineapples because I can just pour the water right into the center of the pineapple and it directs it down through the leaves and down around the roots. Get that one watered in well. move it back over here, and we'll bring up the other one. Now I'm going to go ahead and plant the other one the same way. Give it a nice opening to go into. And that's the second one that I harvested. And as you can see, it's got a nice set of roots on it too. So we'll just spread those out a little bit. Put that into the soil. Work it in around the bottom. Have to be careful with these things because they bite. Those leaves are all serrated edges. And I usually manage to cut my arms up pretty good when I'm dealing with them. Get some soil in here. Don't have to worry too much about getting soil up into the leaves because they will work them out as they get watered. They'll clean themselves up quite a bit. And I'll give it the water that it grew up in. And then we'll give it quite a bit more water. In fact, I need a little bit more than that. All the plants in here get rainwater. I fill up these orange juice jugs every once in a while when I need them from the tanks outside. But there we have 2 more pineapples for the plantation. Let's go ahead and move outside and see what's going on out there. Okay, the patio's kind of full because I brought the other green stalk back here that was out on the front patio, or front porch. Still has some mint growing in the bottom base, and it still has a few of these homestead tomatoes that are still alive. They haven't produced any tomatoes in at least a month, but the amazing part is they're still alive. The Edgevarsky peppers, they've continued to produce. Getting a little bit droopy right now because of the heat, but we do still have a pepper on them over there. And I'm going to be taking them out of the green stalk and planting them over in my little experimental bed where I had the datel peppers. Let them see if they want to be perennials. Here's another homestead tomato that was on the front porch, and I've discovered one critter that they are not immune to. See that guy on there? Tomato hornworm. That's the second one I've found on this plant. Wish I had some chickens to feed him to. Everything else in the containers is doing pretty good. Ginger and turmeric are still hanging in there nicely. There's the experimental bed, and I see a datel pepper over there that looks like it's ripe. Pineapples are still doing good. That right there in my sweet potato slip growing bed is the other 4 mangoes. So far it doesn't look like any of them are coming up, but we do still have a few datel peppers coming on. They're real slow, but they're still producing. Okra hasn't done anything for me this year. Gotten maybe 1 or 2 pods off of them. There's the red Marconis, and there are still a number of peppers on those. And there's the elderberry. Oop, it's starting to droop a little bit in the heat too. I waited a little bit too long to start recording this. Rosemary just keeps on chugging. And I must say, these lemon drop peppers, they just keep on producing. In the last month I've been getting mostly lemon drops and Papusa Jwalas. Both of them keep cranking out peppers, and there are still a few blossoms here and there. A number of green peppers on there still. So I'm just waiting for them to quit so I can free up this space. My red habaneros, got one that's finally turning red. I've only got these 3 peppers on, looks like 9 plants, and those are all on 1 plant. So it looks like I'm not getting many habaneros this year. Of course, that's my fault. I was late getting them in the ground. Here's the puzajualas, and there's a few ripened ones on there, and there's a lot more green ones. These things just keep cranking out more and more peppers. The other habaneros, these are lemon and orange. I've seen 1 or 2 blossoms here and there, but so far I haven't seen any peppers. And again, those were late going in the ground, so that's my fault. Look at this, puzajuala's got blossoms all over the place. It's got peppers all over the place. And it just keeps cranking out more and more. Over in the sweet peppers, I've been getting a handful of banana peppers. They're getting smaller and smaller. And as you can see, these guys all start wilting in the heat every day. It's only about 86 right now, so we haven't been into the 90s for the last 6 days. But things are starting to cool off a little bit down here. There's a red Marconi, and I think I saw a Jimmy Nardello in there too somewhere. Oh, right at the moment I don't. Oh, there's one. Kind of tiny, but they're still producing. And the corbachis, they're slowing down again, but there's still a number of peppers hanging on there. Sweet potatoes, they didn't do nearly as well as I wanted them to this year, but I'll be digging those in probably 2 or 3 weeks. Just see what's hiding underneath in there. Still haven't done anything with this bed. I might put okra in here, get it where it gets a little bit more sunlight. And the asparagus in the patient's bed, I showed you earlier, still doing well. You can see I've been making some serious dents in that pile of tree debris, but I'm at the point now where I'm gonna have to get out my big chainsaw. Some of these limbs that are left in here are just too big to deal with that little Barbie saw. Maybe I should just bury them and call it hugelkultur. Let's see, Mexican avocado. Gardenia's got a flower on it. Let's take a look at that. Yeah. Those things smell nice. I like those. Can't eat them, but I still like them. Let's see, this is another puzajuala, and it also has blossoms on it and peppers. My jalapenos, there are a few peppers on those. They're getting smaller and smaller as time goes on, but so far they're still putting out more peppers. Back in the back corner, I've got more lemon drops back here. Just like the ones in the main bed, they hang all over the place, but they're still producing peppers for me. Oh, and incidentally, the beauty berries are ripening. I'm not going to do anything with them this year because I've still got about 10 half pints of beauty berry syrup in the house. Lemon's doing good. There's one of the papayas. There's the other pomegranate. That one was right under the edge of that debris pile. That was one of them that I had to rescue. Oh, guava's going crazy. It's up about 4 feet tall now. And there's another papaya that once I got it out from under the debris pile, it started growing good. And it looks like it might even be trying to put on some fruit. And there's my other fig tree. That one was right under the edge of the debris pile, but I managed to rescue it as well. And there's the big boy papaya. And I'm watching that fruit on there. And incidentally, I'm not the only one. Just about every day I see yellow jacket climbing around on the fruit. I guess they're getting the milky sap that comes through the skin. I hope they're not poking holes in them. Somehow I still have a couple of squash plants that are still alive. I don't know how. They've been blooming. I haven't seen any female flowers on them yet, but they do keep putting out male flowers. And over here we've got the elderberry, or the mulberry. There's the other pomegranate. That one's gonna have to move. Too much shade back here for it. And the moringa hasn't grown as much as I would like it to, but I think in a month or so I'm still gonna top that main stem and see if I can get the cutting to grow. Sugarcane, I need to chop all of that down and replant it somewhere else because it's slowing down big time. Been in that one spot for about 3 years now, and I need to move it somewhere else. Still a little bit of okra back here around the moringa, but it hasn't really produced anything. In fact, I haven't seen any flowers on them. And then these last California Wonder bell peppers, I haven't gotten a pepper off of them for at least a month. But looks like they still keep trying to produce more blossoms. So they're not hurting anything, so I'll let them keep growing. And incidentally, something I haven't mentioned before, I started a worm bin a few months ago. I bought 3 of these totes that'll nest together. One of them I'm leaving whole, except I'll put a spigot in that eventually to catch any of the runoff from the bins. Then I've got one that I put some soil into. Now this is cheap. Yeah, we'll go. You can call it frugal if you want, but hey, I'm a cheapskate. I didn't bother buying any worms. Instead, I just, every time I found a worm in the garden or in one of the pots, I moved them into here. The ones I put in here were pretty good sized. And here lately, I've been seeing a bunch of little tiny ones. So I think these worms are doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's still some good sized ones in there too. But the trick is, or the plan is, let them grow in there for a while longer, keep feeding them, and then eventually I'll take the 3rd tub, drill a bunch of holes in it, and put some soil and mixture in it, and put it right on top of this one. That way, as the worms run out of food in the bottom, they should migrate up to the next tub. And once they've done that, then I can dig into that bottom and get the worm castings out of it to put in the garden. So, poor man's worm factory. I figure the worms that I pick up in the yard are acclimated to this area, so they should be good to go. And from what I'm seeing, they're doing a good job of it. But anyway, I think that's about it for the summer garden tour. And it's pretty close to being it for the summer garden. So I'm going to bring this to a close and get busy taking that green stalk apart. Oh, incidentally, what's growing in the middle there is radishes. They haven't produced any radishes in about 2 months. Amazing part is they're still alive too. So, as always, I'll see you on the next video.